let's now take that knowledge that you've acquired so far to create and texture a model. Now here I have a concept that we'll be creating, and it's a bottle, and we'll be applying this basic texture to the model. Let's jump right into it. Here in Blender, in my new project, I'm just going to turn off the light and the camera. And actually, I think I'm going to delete the cube because we don't need that. So I'm just going to press the delete key on my keyboard to remove that. Now we need to import our reference so that we can look at it when we're creating our model. So go to add image, click on reference, search for the reference wherever it is on your computer, and keep in mind that I'll be providing this in the description link below. So just left click on that and load reference image. Now wherever you are looking, the reference will be loaded and turned towards your line of sight. What do I mean by that? If I should rotate around this, notice that the reference is not very straight, okay, because it came in and it's basically placing itself directly in my line of sight so that I can see it. So we don't want that. Let me actually delete this, and I'm going to press the 1 on the numpad on my keyboard so that we are in the orthographic view facing the front. And then I'm going to re-add my reference. So go to add image, reference, search for it, click on load reference image. And if I should rotate around, we can see that it's standing up straight. So let's do something here. Let's lower the opacity for this image because it's way too bright. So with the reference selected, come here into your properties panel, click on this icon right here. And where it says opacity, you want to left click on that, and then left click within this value here and drag it towards the left to lower the opacity. You can go as far as you want, but I think I'm going to stop about here. So let me just take my move tool here, and I'm going to move this up to the top of my red line here. And actually, I'm going to just move this down a bit and stop right at this line here. We won't need to worry about this curve here. And I'm going to just move this over to the right so that we are able to just focus on this bottle here, because these have a bunch of stuff on them. And what we want to do is line it up where it's split in half basically. So our Z axis is cutting it in half. It doesn't have to be exactly equal, but I know that if you have OCD, you might spend a lot of time trying to fix that up, but this is okay for me. All right, so let's start modeling. Now, when you're starting any model, what you want to do is look at your reference and see what mesh could you add to the scene to start you off. And we can see that this shape is mostly cylindrical. So I'm going to add a circle. I like to start off with a basic shape and then work my way up. So I'm going to go to add mesh. I'm going to click on circle. And once you add the circle, if you look down here to the bottom left, you can see there are some properties for the circle. So if you should left click on that, you can see that you can lower the amount of vertices by typing the value here, or left clicking and dragging, or you can increase the amount of vertices. And you can also scale the circle, and there are a bunch of other properties here that you could look at. Now, if you should left click off of this circle like so, you won't be able to see the properties anymore. So make sure that what you want is what you select before you left click off of that. Now that wasn't entirely what I wanted, so I'm gonna X to delete, or press the delete key on your keyboard, delete that. And I'm gonna re-add my circle here, and I think I'm gonna start off with maybe 10 vertices and press OK. And now I'm gonna go to my front view here, and let's begin modeling. So I'm gonna press S to scale this down. Let me move this up. Now, wherever you want us to begin is up to you. You can begin at the very bottom and work your way up, or you can begin at the top and work your way down, or even in the center. It doesn't really matter, but we will start at the top here. So let me move this up like so. Press S to scale it down like this. Now, and let me scale that up some more like so. Okay, to begin modeling, we need to be in edit mode. So let me just switch here to edit mode. Press 1 to go back to the front view, and make sure that your entire loop here is selected. If it isn't, you know that you could either individually select these points. So you could select one point, then hold on shift and left click on each of those other points, or you could use the B select. You could just press B, left click and drag over the entire vertices, or you could hold down the Alt key on your keyboard and left click between any of these 2 points to select the ring. Okay, so there are a bunch of ways that you can select the ring. Now let me go back to the front view, press the E key to extrude, and I'm going to press the Z key to lock it onto the Z axis. I'm just going to move it down to about here. So that's looking okay to me. And I'm going to extrude again. And this time I'm going to right click to release that extrusion. So if we should rotate around our object here, we can see it's still there. We're just not seeing it because we released it. So if I should press S to scale and move my mouse in, we are scaling in that extrusion like so. So I'm just going to leave it there and left click. And I'm going to go back to my front view by pressing the 1 key on my keyboard, on the numpad on my keyboard. And I'm going to press E to extrude again. And I'm going to press the Z key to lock it onto the Z axis and just move down like so. So if I should rotate around, we can see that we have that ledge there. Okay, so that's looking fine to me. So go back to front view and E, Z to lock it onto my Z axis. Move this down a bit. I'm going to bring it all the way down here. And then I'm going to scale it out like so to maybe there. And right now, I think I want to see through my object to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to press this button here to bring me into wireframe view. Alternatively, you could press the Z key on your keyboard and click on wireframe to go into wireframe view. And you can see which view I'm in by looking over here. Right now, you can see that I'm in the front orthographic instead of me seeing it all the time. So we want to get the shape that we have on, or something similar to what we have in the drawing. So I'm going to press Ctrl and R. And then left click to add that loop. I'm going to move this up to maybe here, left click and release it. And I'm going to scale that down like so. Okay. I'm going to add another loop. So I'm going to move my mouse over here, Ctrl R, left click to add that loop, right click to release. And then I'm going to scale this out like so. Okay, so that is looking fine to me. Let me scale it out a bit more, like maybe there. And I'm going to select this ring and let me just scale it out a bit more. And actually, I'm going to bring this ring up a bit more, like maybe there. And I'm going to press E to extrude, Z to lock it onto the Z axis, move it down like there, S to scale it out like so. So let me press E to extrude again, Z, move it down, S to scale, and I'm going to add some more edge loops here. I'm just going to add 2 edge loops here. So with when I hover over it and press Ctrl R, I see 1. If I should move my scroll wheel up, I can add as many more as I want, but I'm going to just add 2. So let me move my scroll wheel down and just add 2, then left click and right click to release immediately. I'm just going to scale that out like so. That's looking good. I'm going to select this ring here, E, Z, move down. By now you should be getting this. Scale in, add 2 edge loops here, scale out like so. Select this ring here, E, Z, move down. Let me bring this in a bit. I'm going to add 2 edge loops here, scale out like so. Select this ring here, E to extrude, Z to lock it into the Z axis, move this down here. And I'm going to E to extrude again, Z, bring it down, and I'm going to scale it out like so. Let me move this down a bit, like about there. So what we are seeing here is that we want it to be extruded out so we can get this ledge there. So we already know how to do that. E to extrude, but this time I'm going to right click to release, and then I'm going to press S to scale, but instead of moving my mouse up to scale in, I'm going to move it down to scale out. And then when I'm at that end there, I'm going to left click to release it, and we have that ledge right there. So I'm going to press E to extrude, Z, bring it down, scale in like so, about there. And of course, you guessed it, I'm going to add some edge loops, but this time I think I'm going to add 3 edge loops. Release, scale out like so. And I'm going to select this one individually, scale it out scale this out a bit, select back this ring there, and let's go ahead and finish up by going down to the floor here. E to extrude, Z, and I'm going to move this down here, scale, move my mouse down to scale it out. But I don't want the bottom part of my loop to be flat like this. And this is just a personal preference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it up slightly like so. Then I'm going to press E to extrude. Okay, and then I'm going to press Z to lock it onto the Z axis. And I'm going to left click to release, and I'm going to scale it in a bit like so. And then I'm going to extrude again, bring it down, and I'm going to scale in like this. And let me just move this up. And I'm going to scale it out a bit like so, just so it's not flat on the surface like that. So I have a bit of a bevel there. So let's go ahead and close this up. So I'm going to press E to extrude, right click to release that loop, and then I'm going to press S to scale, and we want to scale by 0. So S to scale, and then press the 0 key on the top of your numpad and left click to release. Okay, and now that is closed. So let's go here and sort out the top of the bottle here. So pretty much we're going to do the same thing here. Select that ring, hold it by holding down Alt and left click between 2 points, and I'm going to press the E key, right click to release, S to scale, and 0 on my on the top of my keyboard to scale it in by 0, and left click to release it. And now we have our bottle. So I'm just going to come over here into my outliner, hide the reference there, and this is what we have, one entire object. Let me go to the object mode, and we have our bottle. Now, even though this won't be animated, I would rather separate the cork from the rest of the bottle. So let me show you how you can do that. Go back into edit mode, and we need to select the section that we want to separate. So I'm going to press 1 to go back to front view, and make sure that we're in wireframe view, because when you select, if you actually, let me go over that. If you should be in solid view and you select an area, maybe you want to select this entire ring, but if you are in solid view and you select this ring, look what happens when you rotate around. It's only selecting like a section of it. But when you're in wireframe view and you do that same selection, you're sure that you will select everything. Okay, so that's the reason why I do that. If I didn't state it before, that's the reason why we do this. With that selected, we want to press the P key on your keyboard, and this brings up the separation menu. What we want to do is click on selection, because we want to separate what we have selected. So click on selection, and it's now separated the top part from the rest of the bottle. So if we should go to object mode, and let me go back to material preview there, and we click on the bottle itself, we can see that it's separate from the cork. So we can move our cork now separately from our bottle. So that is awesome right there. And I'm not liking the top part of the bottle here. We could have a bit of depth, but the cork will be on top of the bottle, so there's no need to actually do that. Right? You won't see the top part of the bottle. But if you were animating it and stuff, you would probably need to add some more geometry to thicken it. Now that the bottle is done, there's pretty much one more thing to do, and that is to make the bottle look smooth and more refined. As you can see here, it's very blocky and it's looking very low poly. So let's go ahead and make it look more polished. So select the bottle here and go into edit mode by pressing the tab key. And with all our points selected, the first thing that we need to do is hold on the control key and the F key. And we want to go to this option here that says shade smooth. So left click on that. And what that does, it shades the points smooth. So it makes them look less blocky. But when we go back into object mode, as we can see here, it's still looking a bit blocky, right? Not as much, but it's still a bit blocky. So the next step is that we need to add what is called a modifier. And the specific modifier that we need to add is called a subdivision surface modifier. So if you should go to this option here, this wrench right here, click on that and click on add modifier and come down here to where it says subdivision surface. Click on that one. We can see that our object is now even much more smoother. Okay, but there's still something wrong here, right? We're missing a bit of our detail of our bottle, and that's because of our subdivision surface, right? So we'll have to go and add more edge loops to create even more to get back our original detail. So go into edit mode, and what we want to do is everywhere that we need to add that detail, we're going to add an edge loop. So I'm going to begin here at the floor here, the bottom. So I'm going to go into edit mode, and let me just deselect that, and I'm going to press Ctrl and R to create that edge loop. Left click and just move this up slightly. I'm not going to go all the way up, just close enough, like maybe there. And if we go back into object mode, we can see that we have a bit of definition there. And let me go here, edit mode, Ctrl R, bring this down like so, not all the way down, but close enough. Go back into object mode, and we're seeing that our details are coming back, but it still looks a bit blocky. Why is that? Well, we need to come over here in our subdivision surface, and where it says levels viewport, you want to increase that, but I would recommend not passing 2 or 3. So I'm going to go to 2 and see what that looks like. And that looks good, but I'm still seeing a bit of blockiness there. So I'm going to left click it one more time to go to 3, and that is looking fine with me. So let's continue adding more detail here. Ctrl R, move this up like so, go back to, and I'm switching back to object mode to see how it looks. All right, so that looks fine. We need to bring this one back. So let me go into edit mode, Ctrl R, left click here, drag this up like so, go back to object mode, and we're seeing, we're getting back our definition there. So let me go back to edit mode here, place one here, look at it. Okay, that is looking okay. And I'm going to place one at the top here, bring this down like so, and we're seeing that okay. And I'm going to place one here as well like that. And yeah, so as you can see, our bottle is smooth, looks more refined, and we're almost set. Let's just finish up the cork here. So let me left click this, Control oh, by the way, the shortcut key for adding a subdivision surface is Control and 2. So that's Control and the number 2 on top of your keyboard, all right, not on the numpad. So let me just go in here, tab, and I'm going to add some edge loops here. So Control R to add an edge loop, and I'm going to just scroll my mouse wheel up once, then left click so that I can have those 2 edge loops, then right click to release. And if I should press S to scale and lock it onto the Z axis by pressing Z, and then I move my mouse out, we can see that they are moving uniformly. So I can basically kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. Instead of adding one here and then bringing it up and then adding one there, I added both of them and then scale them outward. So that is looking fine to me. So let me go back to object mode, and I'm not going to smooth this one out. I'm liking the ridges. It looks similar to a real cork, so I'm going to leave it like that. And that's pretty much the final step. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next video.